Day 105, August. I gave notice at work the other day. Screw them all and the horse they rode in on. I'm retired now and living on the property full time. I'll give it a little while, then decide on whether I should keep the rental house. I don't see any reason why I should hang on to it, but for now, it's a good security blanket in case something goes horribly wrong. I have to wonder about what I'm going to do with all the stuff there. All of Trisha's stuff. I need to bring her cremains out to the property, no matter what. Oh man, this virus is turning out to be horrible. The World Health Organization has announced that the virus may have anywhere from a 10 to 25 day incubation period in the host before symptoms appear. They just don't know. Symptoms include high fever, large boils, cracking of the skin, bleeding of the mouth, gums, and eyes, dehydration, and what appears to be some form of insanity. They don't know yet just how it spreads or to what extent it has already spread since the incubation time is so long. Cases are now starting to appear outside the mainland Asian countries into the Middle East, Japan, and Russia. I've read about such things happening, but it's all been hypothetical. I never thought it would be real someday. All the systems on the property are running well. Made some new paths through the woods and added some breaks to existing ones. I've added some benches beside the pond along with a cleaning table. I also installed a fire pit for smoking or cooking fish closer to it. I got a couple of non-stick copper pans to cook with, which has really made cooking easier. I've stocked up on coffee, sugar, creamer, and a few other things. I should have at least enough for more than 2 years now. Good thing, as the nearest town is about 40 minutes away. Day 110, August. Cases of the virus have now surfaced throughout Europe, France, Spain, Germany, all throughout the region. Things are beginning to fall. A state of emergency has been declared throughout Europe and Australia. The President of the United States and the English Prime Minister have banned all goods and travel to and from the European Union and the former Soviet Union territories. Basically, every country on the continent of Europe and Asia. Airplanes, ships, and private boats are being turned back to their place of origin by the U.S. Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard units in all the waters surrounding the U.S. continent. South American countries are also participating in the quarantine of half the world. It seems to be moving slower in Africa, but it will no doubt take them all out as well. There's no way in hell of controlling it now. What in the hell is happening? I feel I have to do my best to document its spread. I guess it makes me feel better. Maybe my journal will be the only document left on Earth for some future alien civilization to discover. Yeah, right. Day 115, August. After a brief lull of reported cases, the virus has been identified on the Caribbean islands, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic. U.S. warships have sunk numerous ships and boats of all sizes trying to escape the virus to the U.S. in the open waters of the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. With all this happening, I couldn't help but to wonder if this was some sort of international H.G. Wells updated joke. I really don't know what to believe. People in town are starting to panic. Many are stocking up and the shelves are running bare. Some are trying to act normal, like nothing is going on. They're just not doing anything to be prepared. I think that's a big mistake. It's got to be some form of denial in an overwhelming situation. The priest that had blessed the chapel came out with a young couple wishing to marry there. At first, I didn't like the idea of people knowing exactly where I was, but I figured it really didn't matter. Such a handsome young couple. I think that with everything going on in the world, they just wanted to be together in the eyes of the Lord in case things went badly. So they became Cindy and Robert Adams. I was a witness and ring bearer. As humble of a wedding as one could get. They had brought their own food, and we all sat by the pond, ate a little bit, and talked most of the afternoon. It was the most fun I've had in a long time. I can only hope for the best for them. Day 120, August. What's left of the World Health Organization and the US CDC have combined and announced that the virus may be airborne. That's just great. They really don't know. Because of its small size, only the best filtering devices might be able to stop it. They estimate the death toll to be in the billions. People in the United States and South America are being ordered to stay in their homes and not to come in contact with other people if they can help it. All of the Asian, Middle Eastern, and European countries have essentially fallen silent. Africa is hanging on by a thread. Only a very few short-wave operators are still on the air, and they report bodies of the dead littering the entire continent. If it's warm-blooded, it's dead. Only a handful of horses and cattle seem to be unaffected. I wonder why. Perhaps they have some sort of immunity to it. Nah, they just got lucky. I'm feeling very anxious and panicked as well. The world's economy is gone. Maybe billions of people are dead, and there's nothing I or anyone else can do about it. I often reread my journal entries just to keep a grip on my thoughts and stay as straight as I can. That's not really working out, though. Day 124, August. New reports of the infection are now being reported from the port of New Orleans. It's on the American continent. The government did not keep it out, despite their best efforts. Britain, Iceland, Norway, and Greenland have succumbed to the virus. The world has literally fallen apart. I can't believe this is happening. Day 125, August. Reports from all over Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, and Alabama are coming in. It dawned on me, with anywhere from a 10 to 25 day delay in surfacing of the symptoms, this virus was already all over the planet. People on international flights, cruise ships, and cargo ships had carried it to the far ends of the earth. It's not spreading that quickly. It was already there. Humans had done the hardest part of its work for it. What idiots we are. It's the only way to explain why it would show up in New York City and Los Angeles within just a few hours of each other. People have nowhere to run. Nothing can help them. God help us all. Day 126, August. Reports from all California and Oregon port cities have come in. Emergency services in these states have been completely overwhelmed. Rioting and looting have started. All states on the continent have attempted to seal themselves off by closing interstates, highways, back roads, and by blowing bridges. All have implemented martial law. South America was stricken so quickly, their military and what little government services were present could not even begin to react. I thought to myself, this is it, the end of humanity, the end of life on the planet. It spread so quickly and with such ferocity, no one could do anything. No one could stop it. No one could even identify it. A strange peace came over me sitting in the chapel on the property. All those years of crap I took from worthless people and horrible employers now don't amount to a single thing. Trish, I'm coming to see you, sweetheart. I've missed you so much. U.S. officials, Congress, the Supreme Court, and the President all retreated to secret bunkers in hopes of escaping the impending devastation. TV and radio communications are falling silent. Food and supplies distribution have long since stopped. Remarkably, the power grid is still on in many places, but that won't last. Nuclear plants that have not been manually shut down began to shut down on their own following safety protocol guidelines in their software. Day 128, September. It's been about 4 months since the first mention of this virus in the news. Now it's moving through my neck of the woods. I've heard sirens and the sounds of engines, the occasional helicopter and high-flying military and large jets. I sneaked down to the road to see what was going on this morning. It was all military vehicles heading south. My property is about a quarter mile back into the woods, well hidden, and the road is rather obscure. Not too many of the tracks I made setting up the cabin can still be seen, but some can. I wonder if anyone's going to discover I'm here. So far, it doesn't look like anyone is even looking for ways into the woods. I suspect that will change, though. Hell, I'll be dead soon anyway, along with everyone else. I feel selfish thinking about if I'm going to survive or not. I should be thinking about others. So confusing. The local TV and radio is still broadcasting for the moment. The shortwave is still active with only a handful of people broadcasting from around the world. They describe conditions that I would never dream of in my worst nightmares. How did they survive? Nothing medical can help mankind. I've decided to take a chance on something I read a few months ago about drinking baking soda and water. I doubt it'll work, but it's supposed to change the alkalinity of the blood. Something so simple would have been used by someone much smarter than me much earlier in the game if it had worked. But I'm giving it a try anyway. I don't know exactly why, but I find myself thinking I'm going to survive this outbreak. It's so shocking and devastating. I'm numb from everything happening so fast. It's like a game of tag. Only a matter of time before I get tagged and I'm out. Very mixed emotions. I find myself checking my body and looking in the mirror to see if I'm showing any signs of symptoms. So far, nothing. Day 140, September. I woke up this morning. Why? I should be dead by now. In about 4.5 months, most of the human population has been wiped out. We don't know how many people are left. Over 7 billion people are dead. Why was I spared? Is this some sort of hell? Am I dead and just don't know it? It's so quiet. There's a few birds here and there, so I know they survived. No engine noises, no airplanes, no helicopters, no nothing. The power grid is completely gone. I am miles away from the closest town, yet the smell of rotting flesh fills the air. I turn on the radio and it just crackles. The shortwave is the only hope, as it barely picks up the voices of others still alive. I don't know what language they're speaking, but a voice is good enough for me right now. I really don't know what to do. It's starting to rain. Sounds like a real thunderstorm on the way. All I can do is just sit here and stare out the windows. It's almost November now. The nights are getting cold. My camp area is lighted by LEDs suspended from trees and sheds. I have moments of panic thinking something is in the woods, only to realize there's nothing there. Take a pill, why don't you? Maybe I should just take all the pills and get this over with. But I can't. I don't know why. I just can't. I sit watching the flickering flames of the stove in a daze. The rain is really coming down now. Temperature is down in the low 40s as night falls. It's windy too. I'm going back and forth between existential and terrified. I'm alone in a world full of people and alone in a world without them, trapped in the hellish nightmare of my own thoughts and the situation.